The next book was blowing up on Instagram last year, and I think it is still blowing up now too. Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing great, and in today's video I want to talk about my top fantasy book picks recommendations for people who want to read fantasy but are sick of reading about fae, basically. So these are all phenomenal books, fantasy books without fae in them. And the first book that I want to recommend from all my heart is, I love it. Daughter of the Moon Goddess, and this is the most beautiful book ever. This book is inspired by the legend of Shanga in Chinese mythology, the Chinese moon goddess. And in this book, we follow our main girl, Xinyin, who grew up on the moon. And Xinyin is accustomed to solitude, and she's completely unaware that she's being hidden from the celestial emperor, who exiled her mother for stealing his elixir of immortality. But an accident happens where her magic gets discovered and she's forced to flee her home, leaving her mother behind. And then she makes it to the celestial kingdom, where she disguises her identity and tries to find a way to save her mother. And one thing leads to another, and she takes advantage of her closeness to the emperor's son and learns to master archery and also her magic, and an attraction starts between them. This is one of the most beautifully written stories ever. The world building and the description will 100% transport you. It was so dreamy. That's the word. It's so dreamy. There was forbidden love, elemental magic, vicious enemies, legendary creatures, dangerous quests and bargains, and a powerful kingdom to face and take down. There is just so much at stake that you will get pulled into the story from the first chapters. I just adore this book so much, and I highly recommend it as a excellent fantasy book to read with no fae. Okay, the next recommendation, let me put this back, is a book that I mentioned in my top reads of 2023. Where is it? This brilliant book right here, Bonesmith. This is a YA fantasy. I said this before, but let me say it again. Please don't read the synopsis of this book. Trust me, it gives too much away. The only thing you need to know if you want an idea about this world is that in this world there are spirits of the dead that linger, and they can be violent and unpredictable. And unless a bonesmith severs the ghost from its unearthly remains, it will remain there roaming forever. And we follow Ren. She's a bonesmith who wants to become a Valkyr, which is basically a ghost fighting warrior. This will give her a chance to solidify her place in the noble house of bone and impress her father. But when sabotage causes Ren to fail her qualifying trial, she's banished to the border wall, the last line of defense against a wasteland called the Breach, where the vicious dead roam unchecked. Imagine the wall of Game of Thrones. And the houses are the houses of Game of Thrones. That's how I imagine this book. It's just excellent. I love this book. There are a lot of layers to the story and a lot of twists, and it was just so brilliant. It's so brilliant and fresh. I can safely say this is one of the best YA fantasy out there ever. It's just that good. It is so well done. The world building and characters will suck you in. It is so well written. I loved every single page of this book, and I'm so sad that it's only going to be a duology. I really do believe that this world has a lot of potential, and I really hope that this gets extended into at least a trilogy. I would be so happy if we get that announcement. So yeah, highly recommend Bonesmith. The next book is no surprise to anyone also. This is one of my also top books of 2023. It is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I just love this woman's writing, alright? We follow Araya. She's a human and was taken and raised by the Nightborn Vampire King when all her family was killed when she was a child, and she has trained all her life to be as strong as the vampires around her to protect herself against them, but she wants more. She wants to be as powerful as the vampires, and that's why she decides to enter the Kajari legendary tournament held by the goddess of death Nyaxia. And in this tournament, she has to face the most vicious warriors from all three vampire houses. We have the House of Night, which is where Araya comes from. We have the House of Shadow and the House of Blood. And in order to survive, Araya is forced to make an alliance with a mysterious rival. And here enters our main male character, Rain. He's a very, very strong warrior and an enemy to her father's crown. And if she wins the competition, the goddess will grant her any wish her heart desires. This is a phenomenal story with heart-wrenching father-daughter dynamic and a romance that will make you melt, and a lot of action that really kept me turning the pages. I love this series so much, and I cannot wait for the rest of the books to come out. Okay, my next recommendation is for those of you who are looking for a dark fantasy with eerie gothic elements. I recommend, where is it? One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. Here we have a kingdom that is trapped, surrounded by the mist. It is a curse that started years ago and is spreading more and more as the years go by. And now the people in this kingdom have to carry charms with them to protect them from the mist, because if you don't and you enter the mist, you will die. When the mist appeared a long time ago, magical cards have been created, and all the kings that came before, including the current king, have one mission. Is to collect the full deck of magical cards. We have 12 cards in the deck that, when collected, the curse of the mist and the fever will lift. Outside the magic provided by the cards, there is a fever that comes to the kids, and some of them will end up developing magic. And since using magic outside the magic provided by the cards, I think they're called the Providence cards, if I remember correctly, using magic outside the magic provided by the cards is forbidden and is punished by death. Those kids, when discovered with the fever, they will be taken by the king's guard and they will never be seen again. And we follow Elspeth, who is hiding her magic. She has some kind of monster living inside of her, and it helps her at times of need, but the monster has a secret of its own too. I love the originality of this story. It is so unique and well done. The gothic vibes are a chef's kiss. We also have reluctant allies to lovers with a lot of scheming and action. I enjoyed this book so much, and I really hope for the sequel to be as good as this one. Now, if you are looking for whimsy and magic, the next book is for you. Where is it? Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is a YA fantasy romance, and in this book we follow Elizabeth, who has been taught all her life that all sorcerers are evil. She's an orphan raised in one of Ostermere's great libraries, and she grew up among magical grimoires, and the grimoires are sentient beings that, if provoked, they can transform into malicious monsters. And she's training to become a warden, and the wardens are charged with protecting the kingdom from these grimoires. Then one day, an act of sabotage releases the library's most dangerous grimoire, and Elizabeth's intervention implicates her in the crime, and she has to face justice in the capital. So she travels with her sworn enemy, the sorcerer Nathaniel Thorne, and his mysterious demonic servant Silas, and soon enough she finds herself entangled in a centuries-old conspiracy. As she gets to know Nathaniel better, she starts to question everything she's been taught about sorcerers, about the libraries she loves, even about herself. I loved the world building of this book. It truly transported me. A world in which magic is the result of a bargain between humans and demons. And the mystery aspect of the story was great and suspenseful. And I loved the smart, kick-ass female heroine. And Nathaniel, he was like the broody sorcerer, and adored so much the powerful demon companions. And of course, the cute romance and the witty humor. If you are looking for magic without fae, this is for you. Okay, the next book was blowing up on Instagram last year, and I think it is still blowing up now too. Where is it? Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. In this book, we follow Iris and Kit, who are rival journalists that are both fighting for the same position. Iris is struggling with her brother being missing in the war between the gods, and her mother is an alcoholic. She needs to win the columnist promotion, and Roman Kit has his own home struggles. His father is forcing him into a marriage he doesn't want and going to use anything in his power to get Kit the position, but he's determined to make his own way without his father's aid. And to combat her worries, Iris writes letters to her brother and slips them beneath her wardrobe door, where they vanish into the hands of Rowan Kit. And the secret correspondent trope begins when Rowan answers her anonymously and they start to forge a connection. If I could describe this book in one word, I would say captivating. Captivating storyline and characters and a heart-wrenching romance. This is what this book made me feel. I love this book so much, and I highly recommend it if you are looking for a fantasy with heart-wrenching romance, without fae, with gods, a war between gods. This is for you. Okay, my next recommendation is a series that I just finished in January, and I talked about it a lot. I raved about it in my January wrap-up. So if you follow me, you already know I loved the Remnant Chronicles. I just read the series and I 100% recommend it if you want to read a solid fantasy romance series with lost prophecy, backstabbing and betrayals, and a lot of adventure and action. This is for you. And if you want to know more details about this series, watch my January wrap-up. I talk about it a lot, much more in detail in that video. I enjoyed this so much, and I highly recommend it. Okay, the next book is the newest series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. It is the first book that I'm so excited about. Fall of Ruin and Wrath. This is an adult fantasy romance, and in this world we have a specific hierarchy. There are gods, and then created from the gods we have highborns. They are very powerful immortals, and among the highborns we have princes and we have lords. And then there are the Celestias, and finally we have the lowest class, which is the lowborns, who are the humans. And we follow Callista, who is a lowborn, but she has a gift that she has no idea how she got. She has an intuition that never fails her. And she also has the ability to see into the future of someone when she touches them, but she cannot see her own future. So Callista lives under the protection of Claude, who is a Celestina, and in exchange for his protection, she uses her gift to provide him with valuable information, until one day her intuition leads her to save a traveling highborn prince from a deadly attack, and the story develops from there. I thought the world building of this book was so fascinating, and I said it before and I will say it again. JLA's writing style flows. It is so easy to read and fly through. She gives just enough information so you can imagine the setting without disconnecting the reader from the plot. I love that so much. I loved Callista. She's a strong main female character who cares about her friends, and our main male character with the "who did this to you" trope is just so swoon worthy. You will fall in love with his character. This storyline overall was so compelling and so bingeable. I had a hard time putting this book down. This is definitely worth your time if you are looking for a fantasy without fae. And that was my last book recommendation for some of the best fantasy books without fae. If you made it this far, leave me the purple heart emoji and let me know if you already read one of these books and what you think about them. And if you like the video, please subscribe so we can become book besties, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!